Well, thank you, Peggy, and welcome everyone to the ARX portion of the digital signature webinar for VARs and ISVs. We'll be covering the value of digital signatures for offerings from your companies. My name is John Marchione, and I'm your speaker representing ARX. Today, what we're going to cover is going to be based on digital signatures, and we're hoping to reach as many new VAR systems integrator and independent software vendor partners as possible through this webinar. And we'd be very happy to talk to anybody on a follow-up about how a digital signature component can catalyze the business that you're already in. That is, your business is around delivering value based on electronic content management, document management, workflow, records management, electronic content management. These are all things that we have a very good proposition for value-added resellers, systems integrators, and independent software vendors in this space. So I'm going to start off by giving you a brief overview of ARX, a little company background. Then we're going to talk about digital signatures, what they are, and why they're important and how they're useful. I'll then talk about the CoSign digital signature solution and the advantages for VARs and ISVs. So ARX is an independent software vendor, and we are a global provider of cost-efficient digital signature solutions for industry. We have a large installed base. Our market footprint now numbers over 5 million users worldwide, and we sell equally well in the Americas as we do in Europe. So we are successful in selling both sides of the Atlantic. Today, we are the only company that can enable any organization of any size with any technical skill level or resource level to deploy and scale digital signature capabilities that support multiple applications, that meet multiple regulatory requirements, that serve multiple domains and security policies. And you'll see a little bit later on about our product approach and why this is possible with the CoSign solution. Our core industries, the verticals where we've had the most success include life sciences. These are pharmaceutical companies as well as the clinical research organizations. Those organizations that are involved either in the manufacture or testing of a drug or a medical device. We also have a good footprint in healthcare, both on the provider side, the hospital side, as well as the payer side, the insurance side. We've also had very good success in government, especially at the federal level, but also at state and local with some deployments. We have also a good footprint in architecture, construction, and engineering, as well as energy, oil, gas, water, and power. We've sold into just about every vertical you can think of, but we've had particular success in these verticals. When we go to market, we target the enterprise. This is what our product is geared for. It is an enterprise class solution. We target 100 users and up per account. And we have some very large deployments above 7,000 and 10,000 users in some cases. We also provide a solution that's good for different sorts of applications. So this is a signature solution that can be used for internal applications, for approvals, for example, for B2B applications, things like contracts or agreements, and the same for B2C or business-to-consumer applications. And our product deploys both on-site as well as in SaaS portals to support those types of applications. We also go to market with VARs and ISVs, as I mentioned before, and this is who we hope to be talking to today. Those are the VARs, systems integrators, and independent software vendors that are in the document management, the workflow, the ECM, the records management, or BPM solution space. So what are digital signatures? Probably the best way to demonstrate this is to flip over, and I'll show you a quick live demo of what this looks like in action. Just bear with me a second, and I will open a Word document here that I have on the desktop. And what I'm going to do is simply right mouse click and then click Sign. You can see I can choose the appearance of my graphic signature image. I'll click OK. CoSign will prompt me with an identity challenge, and it's that simple. I've digitally signed this Word document. If I'm in a workflow, I can pass this document on to the next person in the workflow. Let's pretend it's my manager approving a vacation request. And the manager will say, okay, have a good time on your vacation, and he will right mouse click and do the same. He can put in a reason code. He can add his title. Again, choose the appearance of his graphic signature. Again, he will be also challenged to prove his identity. And now I've also digitally signed this document. Let me just clear this out. There was a shadow there. I'll just take out some of the some of the text that's not so important. So you can configure, as I just showed you, what the appearance of the signature field looks like on the fly if you wish, or whoever's setting up the templates can do that as well. And now I've signed this document again. Again, I made the signature appear a little different. But these are all settings you can set for the signature appearance simply by right mouse clicking on the field and then ticking what you want to add to the field. CoSign also supports this concept of sectional signing. You'll notice that even though I've changed the document by adding some text here and also adding my signature, that this signature up here is still valid. And why is that? Well, if I right mouse click and I say, show me the scope of this signature, I can see that the scope of this signature only applies to this section of the Word document. So as long as I don't change anything in this section, this first signature will remain valid. However, if I do change something in this first section, and I'll try and cheat here and take an extra vacation day, and then if I validate the signature, that signature, of course, is invalid, and so is this signature. Okay. So this will give you a general idea of what it's like to make a digital signature on a document. Okay. Now going back to the PowerPoint. This is the kind of information, if I showed you in Word or the Adobe Reader, that is carried with the CoSign digital signature. First of all, you will see within the document itself proof of the signer's identity, proof of the signer's intention, and proof that the document has not been modified or tampered with since that signature was applied, as well as the proof of the date and time that signature was applied. The CoSign solution allows you a very quick and easy, convenient way to sign a document on the front end. You mouse click, you answer an identity challenge, you've signed, and now wherever that signed document travels for the rest of its life cycle, it is carrying these three I's of proof: proof of signer identity, intent, and integrity, along with the date and time the signature was applied. I'll just take a minute and give you a short primer on the mechanism behind the digital signature. This is a standard. It's a standard that's been very, very well reviewed, vetted, and broadly adopted across the industry. It's known as the Digital Signature Standard, or FIPS 186. And just keep in mind that everything I'm about to describe is what was happening in the background. It happened in less than a second, just as I showed you in those demos. The signer will open the document. He may fill in some information and then click a sign button. Excuse me. The first thing that happens is the document is passed through a hash algorithm. This yields a unique digital fingerprint or a unique digital DNA of the document. It's a unique series of ones and zeros, and no two documents will ever produce the same hash value. The next step in the signing process is every signer has a set of signature credentials. Those credentials are made up of a key pair and an identity certificate. And the first part of that key pair is a private key. And what happens next is that private key is used in calculating an encryption operation over this hash. Not the whole document, but just over the hash or the digital fingerprint of the document. So this is the foundational digital signature. It's the combination of the signer's private key with the hash of the document. And that combination is the result of calculating an encryption operation over the hash using the private key of the signer. So this yields a very strong binding between the document and the signer in that the document has contributed something unique from the document, its hash. The signer has contributed something unique from the signer, its private key. So this is the basic digital signature. Just think of it as an encrypted hash. The next step is taking the identity certificate of the signer and combining it, or just adding it to the signature block that's embedded into the document along with the encrypted hash. And then that signature block is embedded in the document at the metadata level. And then this information now travels with the document for the rest of its life cycle. And it travels in the form of a canonical standard, a standard that can be interpreted by other applications like Adobe Reader, like Microsoft Office, like Lotus Forms, like Autodesk AutoCAD or Corel WordPerfect, and on and on. This is the industry standard for electronic signing. Okay, so let's continue. So why are digital signatures important, or why even worry about them? Well, if you're in the business of streamlining processes or automating business, what the digital signature fundamentally does is it completely automates those signature-dependent processes, meaning if you have a workflow where people need to apply approvals or sign agreements or get acceptance on terms, that's what the digital signature fundamentally does. It keeps those processes that have been automated, it keeps them automated or electronic, even when the signature is needed, even when something depends on getting a signature in that process. You no longer need to print the document and sign by hand and produce the paper. So that's the first value you get from it. The second value is, because this is a standard, you can have and maintain integrity and verification of the signature all along the life cycle of that document, which means you'll be able to verify the signature both inside and outside of the organization where it was signed, and all along the workflow or collaborative process where that document must go. You'll be able to, at any point in time, check the signatures for validity, check that you have reliable proof of the signer's identity, intention, and that nobody has tampered with that document. And this also is true for the long-term archive, because this is a standard. You will be able to pull that document out of your long-term archive even 30 years from now, and you will be able to inspect that record or that document for the 3 I's of proof: proof of signer identity, intent, and integrity. This sort of standard and this sort of reliability also improves audit efficiency and eases the burden of compliance with regulatory requirements or just good governance of your organization. So this is the third benefit of a standard digital signature. It is a very good practice. If you're going to sign anything, sign it with a digital signature. You'll have more reliability, better auditing, and of course you'll be able to comply with regulations in a much faster and cheaper way than if you did something that was less secure or less standard. Okay. Sorry about that. PowerPoint went all the way to it in. Let me flip back up here. Apologies. Okay, so where do the customers need digital signatures? This is an abbreviated list of some of the documents that our customers use CoSign to sign. It's broken into two broad categories: transactional documents, that is, documents that flow between organizations or between organizations and their customers or clients or the people they serve, and then also government documents. These are documents that need to be signed in order to stay in compliance or meet internal audit requirements and so on. These are just a few examples. So this will give you an idea that this is not a comprehensive list of what gets signed, but if you look at Ames research, better than 58% of all documents produced at some point or another need to be signed. Okay. So what's the so what of digital signatures? Well, again, it's a standard technology. It's a standard approach. What this means for the people that use it is they get universally verifiable signatures and documents anytime, anywhere, along the collaborative process or along the workflow or in the archive. And what that means for businesses, those signed documents have effect outside the system that created them. And so when you sign a document with CoSign, you can send it outside your organization, and immediately the people you send it to can inspect and verify that signature, so that signature, in fact, has effect. It carries business effect and also is legally enforceable. This prevents what we call vendor lock or vendor gridlock, meaning if you invest in CoSign, you don't have to wait for everybody you work with to also invest in CoSign, and so they will be able to use or examine your documents, and this prevents vendor gridlock or prevents the idea that that individual or that company also has to buy CoSign to verify your signatures. And then also, because this is a standard, it's technology or signatures that are very easily going to outlive the vendor or outlive the users that made those signatures. Because they're a standard, you'll be able to verify these signatures long into the future. And also, because it's a standard, we know it's been very well vetted and peer-reviewed. It was first invented at Stanford University. There was an improvement shortly after that between MIT and the Weizmann Institute. And this is signature technology that, because it's been peer-reviewed, because it's been openly reviewed and vetted, today it is still deemed to be the only signature approach that is immune to forgery. This is reflected by what governments are doing in this space. If you look at the U.S. federal government or across the EU, this is the only signature technology that's acceptable, as well as this is what's used under standards bodies, IETF and WC3 and IEEE and ISO, and the Fortune 500. So if you're going to spin up an electronic signature capability, you should rely on the standard for these reasons. Okay. As far as legislation, and this comes up every once in a while, but there are 3 acts. There's 2 in the U.S. and 1 in the EU that deal with this. The first one in the U.S. is called UITA. This is state-level legislation. All states have adopted UITA as is. There are 4 states that have small modifications to the standard UITA, but today all states have some form of UITA. There was also a federal level statute passed called eSign a year later, and the EU directive also in 1999 was passed for Europe. And across the board, what these acts say is that if the law requires a record, an electronic record satisfies the law. If the law requires a signature, a digital signature satisfies the law. So these statutes, in fact, have given legal force and effect to digital signatures. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the CoSign solution. So primary features you get from CoSign are globally acceptable signatures, a central way to control signature privilege, workflow integration, and of course a quick return on investment. So fundamentally what CoSign does, the CoSign signature, is it binds an identity to an electronic document, transaction, or authorization within a business process. Every CoSign signature maintains those 3 eyes of proof, and those 3 eyes of proof are carried in the document in a fully portable, atomic manner, so that as that document moves from place to place, those 3 eyes, that evidence, can be examined without any software or technology from ARX, okay, because this is a standard. So the idea is you sign with CoSign, you can verify with third-party applications. And so CoSign signatures are an international standard that allows signed document portability and value across boundaries, across organizational boundaries. CoSign is an application-compatible signature mechanism, meaning CoSign applies the standard, but it applies it in a very context-specific manner, meaning when you sign a Word document with CoSign, all you need to verify that signature is Office. When you sign an Excel spreadsheet, all you need to verify and examine that CoSign signature is Microsoft Office. Again, when you sign a PDF with CoSign, all you need is the free Adobe Reader to verify the signature. Same from Autodesk, AutoCAD, MicroStation, WordPerfect, Lotus, Forms, and so on. CoSign also provides a virtual signing feature. It's user selectable. So if you wanted to, say, sign a Notepad document, you would select this feature. What would happen is the Notepad document would be distilled into a PDF, and the digital signature would be applied in one step. So if you use this virtual signing feature of CoSign, it's called OmniSign. All the outputs are signed PDFs. However, if you're signing these other documents, you start with the native format or the native context, and CoSign hands back the native context with a signature that the native application can recognize and interpret. Okay. CoSign is a turnkey solution, typically installed in less than 3 hours. It comes with 2 models. One is a 1U rack-mounted model. This is called CoSign Enterprise. And the other one is a 4U rack-mounted model. This is called CoSign FIPS. CoSign FIPS was developed mainly for the federal market and Department of Defense, and we also sell this mostly in Europe. Both of these solutions are very high performance, high scalability. They're both capable of 300 signature operations per second. They both come with high availability load balancing option, and so on. They both come with built-in enterprise application support for the applications that I just mentioned, as well as integration with the larger productivity applications like SharePoint or an Intex workflow, Adobe Lifecycle, IBM Lotus, Form Server, OpenText LiveLink, Oracle UCM, Laserfish, Liquid Office. There are any number of larger content management workflow solutions that CoSign is deployed with. So this saves you time in deploying a digital signature solution. It doesn't have to turn into, and it doesn't turn into, a systems integration project. Rather, it is an installation and configuration project to deploy CoSign. Okay. Essentially, this is a simplified diagram of how it works. The document is hashed. If you go back and remember the primer I gave you, you have to produce a document hash. That is hashed in place where the document sits. That hash is transmitted down to the appliance over a secure SSL session. And by the way, that's all you need to deploy CoSign. You just have to make sure SSL port 443 is open. You don't need to have anything else open. CoSign is double firewalled. It can sit inside your firewall, can sit outside your firewall, but If it's inside your firewall, you just need to have the SSL port open. So the hash travels on SSL down to the appliance. The private key operation, the signature is made inside the appliance, and the appliance returns the signature block over that same SSL session where it's embedded in the document. And this is a very efficient architecture because notice we're not pushing whole documents down to the appliance and whole documents back. So very efficient for bandwidth usage and performance. We're only pushing down a small hash, about a kilobyte of data, and we're only pushing back a slightly larger block of data from 3 kilobytes to 30 kilobytes, depending on if the graphic signature is carried with the document. So if there's no graphic signature, we're talking 3 to 4 kilobytes. If there is a graphic signature, on average 30 kilobytes. Okay. This architecture also allows a very rapid deployment from a couple viewpoints. One is the user infrastructure. User infrastructure, what I'm referring to is the user management system and the user authentication system already established by the organization. They're already, in almost all enterprises, there already is a system in place and a set of policies for managing users and dictating how those users will be authenticated. And when you install CoSign, you reuse those systems and you reuse those policies. You don't reintroduce yet another user management system or another policy for authentication. So when you install CoSign, you point it at the directory that's already established. This is either an internal user directory like Active Directory or some customer screening database with an LDAP interface. CoSign will listen to this directory. As new users are added, CoSign will automatically generate the key pair and issue the certificate for those users. And then those users are ready to sign. When users are removed from this directory, CoSign is still listening and will automatically delete the private key of that user and revoke their identity certificate. So from that instant forward, that user can no longer sign. And this provides a very centralized and tight control point for the organization. So this contributes to allowing an organization to come into compliance with regulations much faster. There's a central point for managing the either provisioning of signature privilege or revoking signature privilege. So a very tight control CoSign gives the organization for the purpose of managing who has signing privilege and when to revoke it and when to take it away. And the other nice thing is all the policies and procedures behind this administrator for proofing the identity and enrolling users, those policies and procedures don't need to change. CoSign simply drops in as a slave not only to the user management system but also the policies and procedures pre-established by the organization. So very quick installation and does not disrupt the established policies or infrastructure to add a digital signature capability to your organization or your business application. On the application side of things, CoSign is pre-integrated with a lot of applications, not only content authoring applications, but as you saw, workflow and content management applications. And CoSign's architecture allows for using or bringing these standard digital signature features to either desktop applications or browser applications or even mobile applications. So this is a very elegant architecture that ensures that digital signature capabilities can be delivered to a very broad diversity of applications in a number of deployment scenarios. So again, if you remember my introduction slide where we are the only company that can enable any organization of any size with any technical skill level to deploy digital signatures for serving multiple applications or meeting multiple regulatory requirements, this is the architecture that allows that. This ensures there's a little to no learning curve for the administrator, no overhead after the system is established to manage CoSign. In other words, this administrator doesn't need to learn anything about key management or certificate management. This administrator only continues to manage the directory according to the policies already established, and CoSign is a slave to that system. And then also this architecture allows for any number of applications to take advantage of CoSign features out of the box. Okay. So I know you know, there's probably a good number of people interested in SharePoint today in the Microsoft environment, and so that's why we profiled this presentation to talk more about Microsoft applications than others. But keep in mind, CoSign is not restricted to SharePoint or Microsoft applications. You may remember I had listed applications from Adobe and IBM and Oracle and OpenText, as well as others. CoSign can serve just as well. But the next two slides, I am going to focus on Microsoft. So in a Microsoft environment, what CoSign provides is out-of-the-box integration or plug-and-play with Microsoft Office from Office 2000 to 2010. Today, CoSign is the only solution that will give you sectional and interdependent signatures in Word or Excel, meaning, as in that Word demo I showed, you could have a workflow with different sections, pass it around, have signer 1 fill in section 1 and sign only on section 1, pass it to signer 2, they'll fill in section 2 and sign on section 2, pass it to signer 3. Signer 3 can sign over both sections. Okay. And this works the same in Microsoft Excel as well. In Excel, you can sign a single cell, you can sign a range of cells, you can sign the formulas only if you're setting up a template or the values. So very powerful, this concept of sectional and interdependent signatures for workflow and collaboration that you only get with the CoSign solution. CoSign is also the only product that will provide you a backward compatible signature across different versions of Office. That means that you can sign an Office document, a Word document in Office 2007, and send that document to either an Office 2003 or 2010 user, and they will be able to verify the signature. CoSign is the only solution that will provide that. CoSign also supports the new Microsoft, this is new with Office 2007, the XPS content type. You can do info path signing. You can also sign your Outlook and Windows Live Mail emails. And even though PDFs and PDFA aren't specific to Microsoft, they are important in all Windows environments and all business environments. And CoSign allows you to easily sign PDF and PDFA documents. CoSign also gives you out-of-the-box integration with Active Directory, and it speaks both the native Active Directory protocol as well as the LDAP Active Directory protocol. It's pre-integrated with Windows Kerberos, so you can pick your authentication scheme. If it works on Windows and it complies with Kerberos, CoSign will reuse that. So the most common example is your users have a username and password for the Active Directory domain. When they're issued an identity challenge, they'll just be expected to re-enter the username and password they already know before they make the signature. CoSign also supports the various Microsoft operating system platforms, including the 64-bit operating systems. CoSign is 100% MS.NET ready, both the solution and the SDK. The CoSign CA, or Certification Authority, that comes in the solution is the preferred digital ID solution for MS Office users, and CoSign has a management snap-in for the Microsoft Management Console. CoSign is also the leading digital signature solution for SharePoint. In other words, by far in SharePoint-based applications, the users, the majority of the users are using CoSign for this purpose. Some of the reasons, CoSign is the only solution that enables one to sign a PDF or PDFA document from within the SharePoint environment. Pretty important. Most of our, in fact, 99–100% of our customers are not application pure. They're using a combination of Adobe or PDF documents in addition to the Office documents. So being able to sign a PDF from within the content management or workflow solution is important. CoSign and SharePoint also provide a reliable and trusted sequential approval process. So if you need to gather signatures sequentially on a document in a workflow, you can do that with a combination of CoSign and SharePoint, or even with one of our workflow partners like Nintex, you could do that. CoSign is the only solution that provides users with a consistent set of signature rules needed within regulated markets. Those signature rules include things like who can clear a signature. No one can clear that signature. Everyone can clear the signature, or only the signer themselves can clear the signature. Also, enforcing that you have to be prompted with an identity challenge every time you sign. This is important for regulated markets as well. It's also good business practice to be prompted every time you make a signature. CoSign also supports managing reason codes, which is also important in some regulated markets. And CoSign is the only signature solution that protects against signature corruption. When Office 2007 documents are checked into SharePoint, there's an anomaly that CoSign overcomes. CoSign allows users to view signature status on a list of documents without having to open each one. So you can go into SharePoint, your application, look at the list, and just from viewing the list, see what documents have been signed, which ones haven't been signed, which ones have been signed, but maybe the signature has been corrupted for some reason. Somebody tampered with it. CoSign also provides end-user digital signatures without having to distribute keys or certificates out to the PC or on smart cards or USB tokens. This is true for every CoSign deployment, not specific to SharePoint, as a lot of these features are. They're not specific to SharePoint, but CoSign delivers these features no matter what ECM or workflow solution you might pick. CoSign also supports SharePoint Mobile for signing from mobile devices, and CoSign is the preferred digital ID solution for SharePoint users. That's a little bit on SharePoint. Here's a sample screenshot. If I had more documents in here, you'd see more in the list, but if you look across the top, you'll see the signature status columns, and you can see, again, without having to open the document one at a time within SharePoint, some of the quick status stuff you can get related to the signature for governing signature-dependent processes. You can go right down the list and see the status without having to open the documents one at a time in SharePoint. Okay. A few case studies. We have a partner. We have a lot of partners, but we're showcasing NextDocs. This is a company that has a solution for the FDA-regulated market for document management and workflow and QA of clinical processes and pharma-related processes. They delivered a rich digital signature capability within their NextDocs products using CoSign. Now, one can easily digitally sign documents with a rich set of features within that NextDocs document and quality management software suite. And they have a whole solution for a completely electronic process all the way through to the signature. And this, of course, reduces time and cost for workflow. The impact for NextDocs customers, of course, is now there's no paper at all. It's fully electronic. They were able, with CoSign in the picture, they are able to very rapidly get through an FDA audit or an audit for Sarbanes-Oxley. So just in the time it takes, the time saved to get through the auditing process, CoSign typically pays for itself on that level, in addition to the money saved in reducing the paper and the expenses related with paper. And then, of course, their customers can also exchange signed documents with organizations outside their operation. And not only does this save time, but those signatures have effect when external partners, suppliers, or clients or collaborators get those signed documents. Okay. The impact for NextDocs, they gain the ability to offer a complete product. Okay, it's not just SharePoint where when you need a signature you have to revert back to paper. Now it's completely electronic, and their customers not only got a quick return on investment, but so did NextDocs. And NextDocs has sold over 90 of these solutions in the past 3 years with CoSign and their SharePoint value add together. And this has, in fact, established NextDocs as the leader in the life sciences space, or a leader, in delivering a solution that is very quick and easy to deploy, maintains compliance, and gets the customer through a compliance audit very quickly. This is in a huge contrast to the way this market was served previously with very heavyweight, cumbersome solutions, very expensive solutions like EMC Documentum. NextDocs is doing what EMC did for the life sciences market in a fraction of the time and cost, and it's because of the combination of SharePoint with CoSign. And their CEO said that, you know, they were able to do the integration very fast because CoSign comes with a standard API for their web applications, and this resulted in two things: a very rapid integration and a web browser-only footprint for the application, which is what helps everybody work more efficiently. Okay. We also have another partner called CPI. This is a leading engineering consultancy. Their engineers do on-site quality and control and submit signed reports. And when they were doing SharePoint alone, they still had to do a lot of stuff with paper with these reports. So the field staff had issues. Paper was interrupting their process, and they quickly concluded they needed a digital signature solution to enhance or complete SharePoint. So by adding SharePoint, all they had to do was use, we have a module for SharePoint servers called CoSign with SharePoint. It installs on the SharePoint server. This allowed them access to centralized control of signer privilege and credential management. Everything is driven through Active Directory in their case, and they also needed the PDF signing under SharePoint, and they also needed to sign things like the meta information on document libraries and lists. The impact, of course, no paper, instant reporting. Those reports could go back as soon as they were finished. They could be signed and sent. This, in fact, tightened the collaboration with their customers, the people that they served, and gave them a very fast customer service turnaround. They got payback in less than 4 months on their CoSign investment, and their CEO said CoSign with SharePoint has changed the way we're doing business. It has saved us money and significantly improved our customer service, which is key. That makes them more competitive, right? So that's an overview on our product, and it gives you an idea of its impact in the market. Let me talk a little bit about the partnership advantages. You know, as far as service, I'll start off with service revenue above product revenue, the potential for our partners to make, in addition to make money off of our product, they can make money off of training for end users and for systems administrator help desk. And they can also make money off of deployment planning and hand-holding for the CoSign installation, which if you follow the process can be done very quickly, and you'll have a quick success. So training and installation, and then some of the site survey stuff, the beauty of it is you don't need to assign a very senior technical person or a very senior business consultant. You know, your mid-level consultants can handle this type of consultancy, but it's still very important for the customer to have these services. And these are value-add services where you can make money. So in addition to training and installation, your consultants can do things like identify documents and forms that require signatures. What needs signatures? Well, approvals, acceptance agreements, confirmations, declarations. And your consultants can also figure out what's the best context to have those forms or documents in, PDF, Word, Excel, InfoPath, Lotus. There are many others. And then remediate the documents and forms to make them ready for signing, meaning just make those templates. Help the customer set those templates up electronically, put in signature placeholder fields, and designate who's going to maintain those templates, either as authors and then who releases them for the signers to sign and when. And then also, you could look into things like aligning specific forms for specific workflows and doing some workflow definition and mapping and development and staging. This is not heavy lifting, but important for the company, for the consultant, and important services that I think the customer would appreciate. There are also more, maybe a little more involved value-added services, like looking at the regulations and defining which form, what the life cycle policy is for a form, when to archive it, when to dispose of it, okay, and documenting that, and things like reviewing and updating their standard operating procedure or governance procedure about how that archiving, records management may affect those procedures. And then even if you have very large customers, offer staging services in a sandbox where you can stage the product on behalf of that big customer before they go into production. So a lot of potential here to make a revenue on top of the product revenue when it comes to CoSign. We will help you. We will support you. We will make you look like digital signature experts from the get-go in a very short amount of time. And what you're doing when you're partnering with ARX or developing a CoSign partnership, you're actually taking on a product that's already in high demand and has a good brand equity. So this is a distinct advantage that should help you in your completing your offering related to workflow or document management. CoSign is pre-integrated with the content authoring apps. You don't have to, again, the beauty of the product is you don't have to become a systems integrator to deploy it with the existing application infrastructure or, in some cases, the existing content management or workflow solution, like SharePoint, for example. We also offer good progressive product discounts. You will certainly be able to make money on value-added services revenue in addition to the product. We will give you dedicated backline support resources and some qualified lead handoffs. So that's an overview of what you would get and the potential of revenue, those two slides. And that concludes this presentation. And I want to thank you for your attention today. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. We'd be very happy to hear from you. And with that, I will conclude my narrative. And many thanks again for your attention. Bye-bye.